Welcome to another episode of WTF. Welcome to Friday, or how you get to pick depending how your week went. This is the spinoff from Parenting Teens Advice Redefined that goes out on Wednesdays with expert interviews. But on Fridays, it is whatever I feel like talking about and riffing on. And today I decided I'm going to bring today's episode brought to you by Daring to Belong, the book I co-authored. So proud of this passion project. And I'm just going to give you a glimpse of what I contributed to this chapter. And just so you know, if you purchase this book off Amazon, all the proceeds go to support autism. So always a good cause. Here we go. I'm a longtime advocate for teens and families navigating the world of neurodiversity. With more than 25 years as a spec ed specialist, I've supported hundreds of young people whose needs often fall between the cracks of our traditional systems. My work focuses on guiding parents and educators to cultivate connection, confidence, and a true sense of belonging for every teen at home, at school, and in life. And thinking back to my early teaching years, I was exactly where you might be right now. If he has an outburst, he gets out of math. If he blows up in gym, he gets to skip. If she swears at the teacher, she gets sent home. I judged it as manipulation. I really did. I had my lens on all right, judgmental, unempathetic, and scared. I drew conclusions from there. The story I told myself was one I had always been taught. They know how to push buttons. They're avoiding, they are getting what they want. And then I dug deeper. I asked more questions, read some Ross Greene books, highly recommend, and I listened. I really listened because none of this made sense to me at my core. And what I learned changed everything. These kids wanted none of it. No teen wants to toss their desk in front of their peers. No teen wants to be sent home for swearing at a teacher they probably like. They want to stay in class. They want to do math. They want to participate in volleyball. They want to belong. They want to be, quote unquote, normal. Their word, not mine. Once I truly understood this, I committed to putting my lens on tight, the only lens that made sense. They would if they could. Taken from Ross Greene. And once you see this, you can't unsee it. I became deeply committed to making sure everyone else puts that lens on too. So talking about would versus could, let's define something very clearly. When we say they won't, we need to understand they can't. We are talking about situations where a kid wants to perform an action and would under typical circumstances, but is unable to due to autism-related barriers. This isn't about choice, it's about capacity. No kid chooses to be dysregulated. No kid chooses to be the center of negative attention. No kid chooses to be isolated, reprimanded, escorted, or removed. Just like a person in a wheelchair would walk if they could, but they can't. A person with the cane would see if they could, but they can't. A person using American Sign Language would hear if they could, but they can't. Visible disabilities are rarely questioned. Invisible disabilities are constantly judged. Let's talk about manipulation. This is a word I heard over and over again in the education system. Manipulating, pushing buttons, attention seeking. All he needs is a quick, swift kick in the pants. Sound familiar? Here's the thing. They don't want attention. Kids want normalcy. They want friends. They want to eat lunch with their peers, not with an adult hired to supervise them. They want to go to the school dance without a chaperone. They want to play on a team, not be the water person. They want to be picked, not last, not as a favor, and not out of pity. Many of the strategies put in place for safety are necessary, but that's not the issue. Let's be honest, if a kid's behavior keeps landing them in isolation, restriction, or exclusion, do you really think that's the outcome they were aiming for? Their behavior got them there. So tell me, do you really believe they're pushing buttons to get this? We must be at the forefront in showing inclusivity to neurodiverse individuals. Meet Hank. Not his real name. Hank was with me from grade 9 to graduation. Because of his autism, he remained in high school for an additional 2 years. But he crossed the stage after the 4 years with all of his peers. That made perfect sense to me. It made sense to him. It made sense to his family. It did not make sense to the system. I fought tooth and nail with administration, teachers, and guidance counselors for what they framed as a privilege. He doesn't have all his credits. He chose to miss class. He didn't hand in assignments. Translation, we need to punish him for making our job harder. He missed class because he couldn't self-regulate. He missed assignments because he was afraid to ask for help, terrified of looking stupid in front of his peers. He lost paper assignments because his needs were not accommodated. He struggled with abstract tasks that could have easily been differentiated, but weren't. Hank was one of the smartest kids I knew. And yet, also important, kids with autism may be chronologically one age and years younger, socially or cognitively. Would you expect the same independence, insight, and regulation from a 12-year-old? Why do we imagine it belongs here on regulation? In order to proactively regulate, Hank and I set up a system. We set it up together. Arbitrarily imposing solutions does not work. Never has, never will. And it kills self-advocacy before it even has a chance to grow. By grade 10, we had a loose but functional scale, concrete, student-driven, descriptive in his words, not mine. Hank could either stop by and tell me in my office what level he was on from a 1 to 5. He could text me and let me know what level he's on, whatever worked for him. So if I got a 1, it meant Hank was great to start the day. The morning routine went smoothly. If I got a number 2, he slept okay, maybe no milk for the cereal, ate it dry, had to go back for homework, but the drop-off went okay. Level 3, Hank had a crappy sleep, barely ate any breakfast. His sister was pissing him off. He slammed the car door at the school, but he made it. This meant frequent check-ins. Sometimes it just meant working in my office when we got to a level 3, and then advocating for teachers to bring the work to him. Some teachers complained, but here's my question. If the work gets done, the knowledge gets demonstrated, and the desks stay where they belong, what's the problem? They should have been high-fiving him. When we get to a level 4, call my mom, can't do school today. He'd wait in my office, listen to music, and try again tomorrow. This was seen as avoidance. I saw insight. If Hank got to a level 5, it was called the wall of fire. What the heck does that mean? I'll tell you. This was the moment in my career that stands out more than any other moment. The moment that changed how I thought, how I felt, and how I supported my kids, and what made me the most strongest committed advocate I know. One day, when Hank was at a level 1, I asked him, what does a level 5 feel like for you? And he said, a level 5 feels like a wall of flames right in front of my face. Can you imagine that? A teenager standing in front of a wall of flames, not just feeling the heat, but feeling the fear. If I saw a wall of flames in front of me, I'd yell, I'd scream, I'd swear, I'd be knocking over desks, and I'd be running because I would think in the moment, I'm just trying to survive. That understanding for me changed everything. Let's talk about when Hank falls for a girl. Autism can mean fixation. From the outside, it can look like stalking, but not in Hank's eyes. He cared very deeply. He wanted to keep her safe, safe from someone he perceived as a threat, a former bully, a boy with multiple girlfriends who to him represented danger. For Hank, this looked like him standing too close, not understanding personal space, and not getting reciprocity. Hank would see couples in high school everywhere holding hands, giggling, making plans for the weekend parties he had never been invited to and likely never would be. He could take even a glance, a smile, or a pencil handed to him to be confirmation of a relationship. Not the fault of the girl, not the fault of Hank. We forget that part. And I understand rushing to protect the target. We need to do that. But we leave no empathy for the kid who doesn't understand the rules of the game he's forced to play. Dragged into the office, lectured by a vice principal, angry parents, threatening police involvement. Again, no judgment on the victim. Don't misunderstand what I'm saying here. But Hank had no words. I like a girl. She smiled. She glanced. She handed me a pencil. I'm doing what every good boyfriend should do. Why is everybody freaking out? He could not articulate that. So what does it look like? It looks like a blow up. It looks like desks getting tossed. It looks like broken glass because he didn't have the language for the nuance. The parent perspective. No parent wants to live on pins and needles. The phone on loud all day. The quiet shame at family gatherings. The exhaustion of constantly explaining your child to the world. Parents of neurotypical kids get up, drive to school, have a great day, full stop. Now imagine dropping off the one person you love the most, who knows you, whose triggers you've learned to avoid, and handing them to a system that, despite the best of intentions, may not be equipped. That parent drives away whispering a prayer. Please let it go okay. Please let me stay at work today. Please don't make me leave again. Parents lose jobs over this. Do you honestly think if there was something they could do, they wouldn't do it? Instead of judgment, can you try, what do you need? Can I help? A coffee, a smile, and meaning it. There's nothing more isolating than being that parent. Many families stop going on holidays together, too many to count. Belonging is not permissiveness. Belonging does not mean lowering expectations. Regulation is not a free pass, and safety and dignity can coexist. What can help our kids move forward? Predictability, preparation, respect, giving them a voice. As educators, it is what it is, can feel overwhelming and realistic. This system doesn't always have a lens. We can ask questions, we listen, we don't assume. Our kids are bright, and when given the opportunity or different options, they can articulate. Even a schedule on the board, a checklist, a warning about a fire alarm test, an unexpected assembly, a supply teacher. These are doable. They harm no one, and everyone benefits. Hank is just one in a million. I can bet You might know a Hank, teach a Hank, maybe love a Hank. If you take nothing else from this, put your lens on, filter out your judgment, drop the stories about lives you know nothing about. Choose compassion, choose empathy, because if they could, they would. And once you truly see that, everything changes. Thank you for listening to WTF. Go get your Daring to Belong on Amazon. And again, all proceeds go to Autism. Big passion project. I love this. I want to do more. Share this with anyone who might know a Hank, love a Hank, or teach a Hank. This needs to get out. And you could really be changing a life just by sharing a message. Thank you for listening. Have a beautiful Friday. We'll see you next time.